Also following some other breaking news right now, Julia Deng over a pursuit apparently of a carjacking suspect in News Chopper 4. Julia, what do we have?
Hey there, Colleen. We are over this high-speed LAPD pursuit. This is actually confirmed to be related to that earlier carjacking pursuit. This is actually confirmed to be related to that earlier carjacking pursuit that we also followed. You recall that one a couple hours ago this afternoon ended in Compton. That's where this one started. LAPD 77th Street Division currently in pursuit. This car is moving so quickly through the streets of South LA now. This is just south of USC. You can see these ground units are struggling to keep up. It was headed northbound on the 110 when we caught up with this. And you can see, let me zoom in here and show you this back bumper damage on the white sedan they're chasing. It's crossing Hobart Boulevard right now, weaving in and out of traffic. But look at that damage. Looked like this car might have crashed already. But you see him trying to get away here. They've got 2 LAPD helicopters on this. I can't remember the last time I followed a pursuit with 2 helicopters from the same agency. They called for additional ground units as well. Sounds like they've got about a dozen black and whites behind it. They had undercover units behind it as well. And the significant thing here, again, is that this is confirmed to be related to that earlier pursuit. Wanted for robbery, possible carjacking. And we heard this, too, on the LAPD scanner up here in News Chopper 4. There might have been a home invasion call related to this as well. We heard chatter about a possible hostage involved in this, but we can't see how many people are in this car aside from the driver. You can see how darkly tinted the windows are, and if you do see our camera lagging a little bit here, it's because it's actually moving so quickly again through the streets of South LA. Let me widen out here so you can see the number of black and whites behind it. I sure hope everybody out on the streets right now in evening rush hour traffic, they are aware this is a pursuit, and you can see this driver blowing through intersections, disregarding all of these lane markings, driving right through some of these turn lanes, stop signs, red lights, and it looks like he's, nope, not making a right turn, continuing on here, and I do apologize, our map is not working, but you can see this, passing this shopping structure now, this shopping area with a Cinemark. And LAPD still in hot pursuit behind this white sedan.
Julia, let me stop you for a second. The speedometer we have up there registers 0. I can tell you that's wrong. Any idea what kind of speed he's doing here? He's blowing past everyone on this road.
Yeah, I mean, you can see our speedometer reading 0. That's not working. This driver probably going at least 70 miles per hour on these surface streets, going even faster earlier up the 110. Again, this started in Compton when we first heard LAPD talking about it on their scanner. They had an undercover unit behind it at first. It was near the 110 and the 105, came northbound up the 110, exited right around USC, and then it was turning circles around that area. It was northbound on Fig. It was headed westbound, I think, on 57th, and now it is just speeding through these surface streets with LAPD close behind, flashing lights on, which is good, so people in the area, people on the roads know something is up. Hopefully they know this is a pursuit. I don't see drivers really moving out of the way, though. No. You saw how close this sedan got to that black SUV. Yeah, LAPD really closing the distance here as this gets more heated and much more dangerous for other drivers on the road tonight.
Julia, you've got to wonder, at what point will LAPD decide to pull off and back off from following this driver? I mean, we see how reckless he's driving.
Yeah, I mean, you got to weigh those options in the moment here, because as they're pursuing this driver, not just on the ground but in the air, it looks like he's speeding up, making this much more dangerous for everybody. But like I said, the potential charges here, they're serious. We're talking about possible robbery, possible hostage taking, potential home invasion as well, connected to an earlier carjacking. And then you see the damage on this car. There might have been a crash related too. We don't know if there might have been injuries there. So it doesn't look like they're going to let this driver go. They've still got 2 LAPD helicopters over this. Looks like it just made a right turn onto La Cienega.
Okay, Julia, I want to see if I can connect the dots with you on this. When we say this was an earlier pursuit, this earlier pursuit was going on at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We know that officers chased his car, or chased a car with maybe 4 or 5 suspects in it at that point in time. Those suspects bailed out. I believe that happened in Compton. So now they think, and I'm trying to confirm this, that this may in fact be one of the suspects from that particular chase. Do we have Julia back?
Right. And we do understand that from that previous pursuit that at least 2 people were arrested. And they were, and a couple of others were still being sought after. So this pursuit, again, is potentially connected to that one that Colleen was just talking about around the 3 o'clock hour.
All right, this car looks like it's in a residential area. Julia, I'm not sure if you heard us or not, but we're really trying to connect the dots on this one. This is perhaps they believe, one of the people who may have been involved in that earlier pursuit that ended around 3 o'clock this afternoon. They were wanted for possible carjacking and robbery here. And they believe this is one of the outstanding suspects in that. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is all correct. I heard you there, Colleen. We're back with you now. Heard all of that. That is correct. Those are the dots that we've connected and confirmed with LAPD. Their watch commander confirmed this pretty early on in the pursuit. And I think that's why they've dedicated all of these resources to stopping this driver who's now winding through surface streets in Culver City. Again, this started in Compton, now in Culver City. And we believe this is one of the outstanding suspects from that earlier carjacking that led to the afternoon pursuit. And you saw the black SUV there at the top of our 3 o'clock newscast when it was stopped in the entryway of an apartment complex. We did see one man being taken into custody there, but again, multiple suspects involved in that one, and this could be one of those outstanding suspects. That's what it sounds like to me. They still have multiple helicopters on this. They called for additional ground units, but it looks like LAPD on the ground now maintaining a larger gap, more of a distance than we saw before, as this driver continues driving recklessly. And you see it disregarding lanes here and just doing what this driver needs to do to get around traffic. Driving on the wrong side of the road now. That was a close call. That could have easily been a head-on collision. And your question about when LAPD is going to pull back, I mean, the way this driver is going now, he might be daring LAPD to stop pursuing him. We've seen LAPD do that before. Decide to pull back from a pursuit, turn their lights and sirens off, and go into what they call tracking mode, where they just keep an eye on this from overhead. So we'll see if they decide to do that here as it gets more dangerous and as these roads get busier.
Julia, the situation here, if I heard you correctly, is they think there may be a hostage connected here. And if so, that would be one of the reasons they don't pull back. Another reason why they may have 2 choppers on that. So we think there may be a driver and possibly a hostage involved in this car?
We don't know that. We haven't seen that. I haven't heard additional scanner chatter indicating that could be the case. We heard that earlier, and that could have been, just notes from LAPD about what happened leading up to this chase. There might have been a hostage involved in that potential home invasion call that happened before this pursuit. We don't know if there's anybody actually in this car with the driver. Let me zoom in tighter and see if we can actually get a peek inside these windows. They are very darkly tinted. All we know for now is that this driver, this suspect in the pursuit here in the white sedan, is wanted for 211. That's the code for robbery in LA, and this is connected to that earlier carjacking pursuit that ended around 3 p.m. in the city of Compton.
All right, Julia, if you can just please give us an idea as to whereabouts we're at, just so our viewers have a better idea as well.
Yeah, so it looks to me like this is now going to be in the mid-city area. This is close to the 10 freeway, and we'll see if this driver decides to get on the 10. Earlier, it was just around the 110. I thought it would get on that freeway, maybe turn back south and head toward Compton, where this started near the 105 and the 110. But we'll see what this driver decides to do now. It's primarily been on surface streets as we've been streaming live from News Chopper 4 here. I don't believe this driver knows his way around. Maybe that's why he started driving on the wrong side of the road earlier when he easily could have gotten around traffic, driving legally in his lanes.
And this is a narrow street there.
Yeah, looks like it just went under the 10 freeway. You see that LAPD chopper flying through our shot here. These are very narrow roads. Fortunately, I don't see pedestrians out and about, but you've seen already several near misses. There was a near head-on collision just moments ago, and the back-end damage I'm seeing on this car tells me this driver does not care if he crashes. He's just trying to get away.
Well, at least he is out of that residential area and back on a major. Wow, is he on the wrong side of the road? What is this street here?
Let me try and pull up the map here. This might be Washington. This might be Venice. This is something that I believe runs parallel to the 10 freeway. And you saw LAPD ground units waiting at an intersection earlier. I wonder if that means they're trying to set up spike strips as they try and anticipate where this driver goes. But that could be tough because you see him turning all of these circles now, just driving around these surface streets. Again, I don't believe he knows this area. This is going to be right around Mid-City. I wonder if he's looking for an on-ramp to get onto the 10 freeway. But he's really speeding, and this has been going on for quite some time now. So he's bound to run out of fuel. And then that's when it might get dicey. You know, we've seen these carjacking suspects get out of their pursuit vehicles, carjack somebody else, and then carry on. So we're keeping an eye on where he's going and how many gas stations are around as he passes this Arco. And we're keeping an eye on the time, too, because, again, he is bound to run out of fuel as he blows through yet another red light and drives past this traffic. I think everybody in the area must know by now that there is an LAPD pursuit, a high-speed LAPD pursuit going on.
It is 6:12. It is rush hour. We see heavy traffic out there, and this driver is just weaving in and out. And again, how you mentioned, Julia, disregarding traffic lights there.
Yeah, and you just saw LAPD throwing out those spike strips. I can't tell if this driver actually went over the spikes, if it did any damage to these tires, but we'll see soon enough if this is going to disable the vehicle.
Give us an idea of the direction he is headed and what this major street is once again.
Yeah, it's headed east right now. Looks to me like this is just south of the 10 freeway. I think he might be looking for an on-ramp to get onto the freeway. So this is headed back to where we first picked it up, from the Mid-City area toward USC.
Okay, once again, he just turned on. Let's see if he was headed east. Which direction is he going now? South or north?
Let me see. Let me try and reacquire and then actually zoom in on a street sign. I do apologize. This is a lot easier when we've got that map overlay up here in the helicopter, but it's one of those days. At least we have the scanners and we can hear what LAPD is saying. Looks to me like this is still south of the 10 freeway. This might be headed south now. So again, back toward where this started in the city of Compton, but it's LAPD in pursuit. I have not heard them say anything about handing this off to another agency or calling for additional help yet. That sometimes can happen on the freeway when they call in CHP, but this has not gotten on the freeway yet during our time shooting it as it goes behind these trees.
Is he on the wrong side of the... Oh, yeah, he's definitely on the wrong side. You know what's interesting, Annabelle and Julia, as I look at this, that LAPD cruiser is staying right with him,
really
regardless
tight
of his speeds and where he's going. And then you see at least 2 or 3 others behind.
Yeah, I mean, they've been following very close behind. And Booth, let me just take this address bar off because the map is actually frozen. We don't have that option right now. But yeah, Annabelle, you mentioned this was driving on the wrong side of the road. This driver does not seem to care about the rules of the road. I think he knows if he's caught, he's going to be facing some serious time. So he's just doing everything he can to get away. This LAPD cruiser right behind the pursuit suspect hasn't made moves to do a pit maneuver just yet. We did see officers throwing out spike strips. I don't think they did anything here. Okay, I got a street sign now without the map working. It passed Western Avenue just a moment ago. Which way is this headed? This is headed south now, south-southeast. Passing... Yeah, still on a major, and I wonder if this driver is going to try and get off this major now to avoid all of this traffic, because he's not moving very quickly.
It also makes you wonder what else is going on here. If this was a simple robbery or a burglary at a home, I don't believe, knowing what we know about chases and what we've seen in the past, the LAPD would be this aggressive. I mean, this guy is going at high speeds. This is one of the more dangerous chases we've ever seen. There just seems to be something else that keeps the officers on this car. Don't know what it is, but there just seems to be something.
And you've got to wonder what the other drivers are also thinking. They're seeing lights flashing behind them, a lot of activity. Oh, and then you see that pedestrian, luckily, just started walking a little faster.
And you saw that pedestrian crossing the street who had to basically scamper out of the way there. I don't know if she realized it was a pursuit or just a reckless driver. But yeah, we don't have to speculate here about why LAPD is not letting this driver go when we've seen officers let so many other pursuits go. I mean, look at that, driving on the wrong side of the road and avoiding another near crash there. We don't have to speculate about why they're still pursuing this driver. I think it's because this is related to that earlier carjacking, and there are some additional potential charges that are incredibly serious here. So there could be something else. We haven't heard, again, about a possible hostage in the vehicle with the driver, and as it gets darker out, you can see the night sun, the spotlight from the LAPD helicopter. They're still watching this from overhead as well, but very much still in active pursuit. You see that cruiser right behind this suspect, flashing lights on, a good indicator to other drivers in the area. And this is just south of downtown near the Exposition Park area, indicating to other drivers that this is a pursuit. I do see other drivers. You saw that pedestrian maintaining a safe distance now, but yeah, you got to wonder what people on the roads are thinking right now.
You know, I was just going to ask you to call out some landmarks, and we realized this is very close to BMO Stadium at this point.
That's correct. Very close to BMO Stadium. I think this driver, after heading west and kind of taking a loop around Culver City, the Mid-City area, I think this driver is trying to get back into familiar territory, back to where this started, near South LA, Compton. Again, this is winding its way through surface streets now in the Exposition Park area.
Yeah, for anybody who's just tuning in, this is a pursuit that we've been monitoring that could potentially be related to another pursuit that we were also monitoring around the 3 o'clock hour, in which LAPD was monitoring 5 suspects were in one particular vehicle. 2 had not been caught. 3 were detained. All 5 were involved in that initial pursuit. So this driver could be related to that initial pursuit, and that's what we are trying to get some more information on.
And that's what we're seeing on the other side of the screen.
They'll know for sure when they take this suspect into custody who this is and what his connection is to that earlier incident, that earlier carjacking that led to a pursuit, that led to a foot bail, and then what you saw in Compton in front of that apartment complex with all of those residents who came out to watch the arrest of the man that we caught on our helicopter camera. But I did catch another street sign here, so this is now going to be south of USC, south of downtown. It was headed down 54th Street before it turned right just now. It's going through this very crowded intersection. Let me widen out now and show you how many more LAPD units are behind this now, and they all have their lights and sirens turned on still. This is still an active pursuit. This is not one of those tracking situations where we only see the helicopter and its spotlight on the pursuit vehicle. This is an active high-speed pursuit. The driver still doing illegal maneuvers down here as it comes up on more traffic. You see all these cars here. You see that truck trying to pull out of that alleyway. Let me go in with the doubler and see what this driver is trying to do. Yeah, making a left turn here.
Once again, is this driver headed towards downtown? Is the driver headed towards a freeway? We see he's moving through these residential areas, and he pops back out on these major surface streets.
Yeah, and I think he finally, he found an on-ramp. I think he's getting on the 110 freeway.
Yeah. North or south?
Let me take a look. We are actually, okay, this is tricky for us because we're getting into LAX airspace. So we're going to have to shoot this from a distance. Manchester, Florence. I think this is the southbound 110 freeway, this pursuit has just entered. Now we'll see if LAPD decides to call in CHP for assistance.
You know, they really have to have a game plan here. Traffic is heavy here as well. A lot of people getting off of work at this hour.
Yeah, I mean, you see the headlights, you see the taillights. Whichever way he decided to go on the 110, this is going to be tough. But based on the way he was driving, I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to just cut into that carpool lane and go that way down the 110 freeway. And again, I do apologize. We are shooting this from a distance, and the reason for that is because this has now entered LAX airspace. So helicopters cannot fly through that airspace. But we'll keep an eye on this from a distance. There's no chance of us losing this because of the number of LAPD units behind it, all with their lights and sirens turned on, as these freeway drivers in either direction on the 110 become aware of what is happening. Looks to me like the pursuit is still headed southbound on the 110.
You know, for a moment, I thought I'd lost it, and we're looking at it on a big screen here in the studio as well. And then all of a sudden you see that one car that's weaving in and out of all the traffic just ahead of all the police lights, and it's very easy to pick it up again.
Exactly. It just went behind that green sign. Yeah, it's the car that's moving faster than everybody else and weaving in and out of lanes without signaling lane changes. Looks like it just crossed that solid line into the carpool lanes here.
But it is still weaving in and out. And officers, I mean, look at how many units are behind this vehicle. Colleen, you said it. They are not letting go of this guy.
No, they're not letting him go, and I think it's because this is related to an earlier very serious incident that ended in the city of Compton. This could be one of the carjacking suspects, one of the multiple outstanding suspects wanted in connection with that incident that led to a pursuit.
Is this the area where you can take the 110 to the 105 and head to the airport? And where has he committed? Is he still continuing south on the 110?
I think he's getting off now at Imperial.
Imperial,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you saw that flash of white. If you look at the center of the screen right now, that's the pursuit vehicle. Looks like it's getting off the 110, getting onto Imperial, and not the 105. I think we were right about this driver trying to get back into familiar territory where this started. I think it just made a left turn off of that ramp. Yeah. You can't miss it with LAPD behind it and these lights turned on.
And once again, Julia, going back to that original pursuit at 3 o'clock that we covered here, we believe there were 5 suspects in that particular car. There was a robbery. That was the original want on it. They, I believe, apprehended at least 3 people or detained them. There were 2 suspects outstanding, and we think those 2 suspects, or at least one of them, may be in this white vehicle the LAPD is following.
That's correct. That's correct. We saw one person being taken into custody following the earlier pursuit when it ended in Compton, but there was a foot bail, meaning people ran out of that car, made a run for it, and yes, multiple people got away. At least 2 people we heard. We don't know how many people are in this car. Could be 1, could be 2, but this is believed to be connected to that earlier Compton incident.
You know, and we did notice that these windows are really tinted, so we haven't been able to get a close look.
Yeah, and shout out to our pilot up here in News Chopper 4, George, who's following this from a distance. But with the sun going down, this is going to be easier because, again, if they have their lights turned on, if they have 2 helicopters on this, the lights are going to indicate to all of us in the air and on the ground, too, where this pursuit is headed. We're shooting this from miles out right now, but you can still see LAPD in hot pursuit behind this white car. And every couple of minutes, you know, we catch a glimpse of this car. I think it's crossing the 105 right now.
Okay, is that the 105? I was going to ask you, is that the 105 that we see through the middle of the screen? And is this driver headed towards the airport or away from it at this point?
I think it's headed, this is headed actually south now. That's what this looks like to me. We might actually be getting into an area north of Compton where we can actually fly closer to it.
So is this the Imperial Highway, or has he bypassed that altogether?
this is, okay, what I'm zooming in on now, that freeway is going to be the 110.
The 110, okay.
And give us a moment here. I'm going to toss it back to you on the desk as we try and get back overhead so we can actually see what's going on and where this is going. This is moving very quickly.
Yeah, moving very quickly. This is a pursuit that we've been monitoring since, what, a little after 6 or so. But again, this is related, could potentially be related to another pursuit that we were monitoring around the 3 o'clock hour. LAPD was going after 5 robbery suspects. That pursuit ended in Compton around Coral Avenue and Laurel Street, and that ended around a little shortly thereafter. 3 people were detained, 2 fled, and we think that at least 1 person could be inside of that vehicle that police are now after.
And I understand from someone who's familiar with the area, this is East Imperial Highway. So you see a lot of lights out there, but it seems to be very close to the 105 as well. Julia, are you back with us?
Colleen, back with you now. We lost this pursuit momentarily, but I'm seeing out my window here flashing lights. Looks like LAPD is headed down the 110 freeway, and I see the helicopter headed that way as well as we try and reacquire.
Yeah, are there still two law enforcement choppers on this?
There is 1 LAPD helicopter over this, and numerous ground units, and I believe this might be it. Yeah, this is it. Headed southbound down the 110 now. Is this it? No, this is a different car.
Yeah, no, it looks, the bumper appeared to be intact on this white car. And that's the one thing we noticed was body damage on the other car that we were following. Again, it's at night. It's in that airspace that we have trouble with. It's a restricted airspace near LAX. But that is definitely a line of law enforcement going south, I believe, on the 110, she said.
Yeah, I mean, it is challenging to see, and that's why, you know, Colleen, you mentioned it, we're dealing with airspace here, and we're limited, and that's why our camera, the image looks a little blurry because we are limited on how close we can get.
Once again, the original want on this, we believe, is robbery, some sort of home invasion robbery, possible carjacking, and it all stemmed from a situation that happened 3.5 hours ago, at least 3.5 hours. It was another chase, at least 4 to 5 suspects in that car. They detained 3 of them. 2 of those suspects have been on the loose for about 3 hours or so. And according to the sources we have, at least one of those suspects may be in the car they are chasing.